This is probably the most requested video I've ever been asked to do, and it's to look at NXT superstar Joe Gacy and simply ask, is Joe Gacy WWE's next Bray Wyatt? It's very difficult to look at Joe Gacy and not see the similarities to Bray Wyatt, especially in his early NXT career. Now, Joe Gacy is very different. His whole message is about acceptance and inclusivity, but it's also about a society that doesn't accept him and recruiting people to join him in that fight against society. He's already got his big monster, which is Haaland. That came around very quickly for Joe Gacy, and it's done a really good job of establishing Haaland to the NXT fan base. But if this was like the Wyatt family and how that played out, surely Joe Gacy should be recruiting other people for it, and he already kind of has. Draco Anthony has been in a feud with Joe Gacy for months, going back and forth on NXT. He's faced both Joe Gacy and Haaland. But recently, we've seen dramatic changes in the character of Draco. Draco Anthony this week on NXT, again, while watching the Joe Gacy segment, the promo he cut on the TV, he then had a short fuse, a bad temper, and he was not hesitant to get into the face of Zion Quinn when Zion Quinn simply was trying to ask how he was. Joe Gacy, has he corrupted the mind of Draco Anthony? You kind of look at it and think very, very possibly. Now that could be significant because there could be a third member for Joe Gacy's group. A lot of people will draw similarities to Joe Gacy's NXT early days to one of Bray Wyatt's early days as Husky Harris. I personally don't see it, they're just two wrestlers, but if you're going under this story, kind of makes sense that now he's transformed into what would be cult leader Bray version of Joe Gacy. And it's starting to add up just a little bit. When you hear promos that Joe Gacy cuts and he says stuff like, he has the whole world in his hands and let me show you, they're very, very similar, if not the same, as to what Bray Wyatt would say. And then before Joe Gacy was even in NXT, there was CZW, where he had this character that wore a mask, and it wasn't exclusively in a mask, but when you look at this is a sick, psychotic SOB. And if WWE wanted to introduce someone psychotic, so a character almost that's different to, but is similar to The Fiend, this might be the character and the person that they do it with. We all love The Fiend, and I don't know how fans would accept it if they did it that quickly. But do you know what? As long as WWE make it different and make it stand out from what The Fiend was, I think fans will accept it just to have a good character on television. Although there's no signs yet that Joe Gacy plans to bring that kind of character to WWE, it's interesting the possibility that he could. But again, the evolution of Joe Gacy is something that is got years to go yet. So something we got to touch on now and maybe see how this plays out in the future. But genuinely, I'm entertained by Joe Gacy every week on NXT. His promos are good, his wrestling's okay. There's nothing bad about Joe Gacy, and I hope that we can say, yes, okay, there's similarities to Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt was inspired by Waylon Mercy, and a lot of fans would say that Bray Wyatt took inspiration from the dark persona of the legendary Undertaker. So why things Joe Gacy does may remind you of Bray Wyatt, that's not essentially a bad thing, because he's his own character. He may have a decade-long career, and you may see some entertaining moments from Joe Gacy. And in wrestling, taking inspiration from another person's work, whether it be their moves or their character, that's the biggest tribute you could pay. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Joe Gacy does, not only in NXT, but when he's called up to the main roster. I don't think these gimmicks will get changed too much now that Vince has huge creative input in NXT. So this is something that Vince McMahon and WWE are starting to build from the ground up in Joe Gacy. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like the video. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. You never miss an upload. Share the video so your friends can find it and come and have their say. And follow me on Twitter at CWrestlingUK. I'll see you next time. Peace!